He's using a weight that he can handle. He's lifted it for one good rep. Only this time on the second rep, something goes wrong. Coach Greg, in today's video, you broke it, you bought it. Only this time, it's at a commercial gym. And so we got a guy, he's going to the gym, he buys a day pass, and he's trying to get in some squats. Perhaps he wants bigger legs, better booty. And so he's lifting a relatively heavy weight, at least for the size of him, very strong squatter, about 120 kilograms. He looks like he only weighs half of that, which is about 265 pounds. And so he unracks the weight, 120 kilos. He's stepping back and he's got his heels elevated by a plate. Perhaps he's trying to work his quads a little bit more. And he squats down to parallel with very good technique, and he gets one good clean rep. And remember, he's gone for 1 rep maxes in the past. He's lifted 140 kilograms, and on each attempt, if he can't get it, he'll put the weight back down on the safety rack that's in place. And so when we tell people how to lift properly in the gym, doing a squat, we say use a safety rack. And why is that? Because in case you can't lift the weight, you place the bar back down on the safety rack so that you don't get hurt. It's a lot better to hurt the rack or the bar than it is to hurt your back or perhaps lose your life doing a squat. And so he's doing everything right. He has the safety bars in place. He's using a weight that he can handle. He's lifted it for one good rep. Only this time on the second rep, something goes wrong. Perhaps he just doesn't have the strength on this day. Perhaps he was tired from the previous set. Perhaps he was tired from the previous repetition. But he's attempting the second rep. He's doing so in a gym with a safety rack in place. And so he's doing everything right. Only this time on his second repetition, on the way up, he perhaps loses his balance, loses his strength, and he begins to fall forward. And luckily for him, the safety rack is there. He drops the weight on the safety rack and it prevents him from getting hurt. No big deal, right? Exactly what's supposed to happen, right? Wrong! Only this time, as the bar lands on the safety rack, it forms a crack in it. And so it's unfortunate the safety rack could not withstand 120 kilograms. I mean, in the past, I've dropped over 700 pounds. I'm walking back, my ankle rolls, and I drop the weight, slams down on the safety rack, and it's bent. Used to be straight, now it's bent like this. Did I have to pay for it? Nope. Was it my fault? Yup. I walked back with 700 pounds, rolled my ankle, and the safety bar, it saved me. That's the job of the safety rack. Now, last I checked, compared to 700 pounds, 250 pounds, not all that much. But yet it breaks the rack. Breaks the rack. What kind of rack breaks when its job is to protect the lifter? The job of the safety rack is to protect the lifter. And if it cracks with 250 pounds, what might it have done if he had 700 pounds? Imagine he had crashed down with 700 pounds. It slams into the rack, breaks it, and falls on his back, breaks his back. Then he's in the hospital. Would they then ask him to pay for the safety rack? You know what would happen? He might have a lawsuit. Your safety rack did not save me. Because it didn't save me, now I have a broken bone. I am going to sue you. And so imagine this gym thinking they can force this kid to have to pay for the damage that the safety rack should have been able to withstand. A safety rack should withstand 265 pounds. If it doesn't, is that the kid's fault? Should he then have to pay for it? Only they're saying, yup, you broke it, you bought it, you have to pay for it. And so what do you think? What do you think is fair? And so what's shocking for me is there are actually comments in there saying, you break it, you pay for it. It's the universal rule. Only thing is this never applied to a gym in my entire life. I've never heard of anyone having to pay for anything, even if they were at fault for breaking it. I've seen it where people drop a dumbbell, bounces on the floor, hits into the mirror in the back. They don't have to pay for the mirror. Obviously, the person's fault. You drop the dumbbell on the floor and it bounced and hit into the mirror. They don't have to pay for it. And so imagine being expected to pay for something because the gym equipment malfunctioned. I was once training at the YMCA. I was doing leg extensions. I had the whole stack. I was a teenager. The whole stack. Lifting harder than last time. Extending my legs. Only on rep number 10, the cable snaps. Snap! Cable's broken. I'm doing leg extensions. The weight then, of course I'm putting full force, comes back and hits me in the chest, cuts me open. It's metal. I'm extending as hard as I possibly can with the entire stack and it snaps and it comes crushing on my chest. Luckily, I didn't break my sternum, but I was in fact bleeding and it was very painful. Do you think the YMCA is going to say, hey, you broke the cable, you got to pay for it? Imagine if they had want me to pay for it. Imagine the ridiculousness. And when I busted that squat rack because I tripped with 700 pounds, did I have to pay for it? Of course not. And so how could anyone think that this kid has to pay for the damage done by a safety rack that just did its job? And so what's scary for me is that it actually broke it. Now, when I race on a bicycle and I have a helmet and I once was hit by a car and I slammed into the car, hit my head into the side, did a front flip, landed on the other side of my feet, cut my arm open. See this scar? Had a hole about this big. No skin was removed. I hit into the side view mirror. It cut all the skin off of my arm. They then sewed my skin together and I'd torn my bicep. This happened in my early 20s when I was training for a bodybuilding competition. I was doing my cardio on the bike. In this case, my helmet was broken. It was crushed from the impact of hitting into the car. Should I then be calling up the helmet manufacturer and saying, hey, you need to pay for this helmet because I broke it. I need a new one for free? The helmet did exactly what it's supposed to do. I didn't have any brain damage, although I had a headache and some cuts from where the helmet hit into my head. It did its job. It's supposed to protect me. The safety rack is there for a reason. Are people going to then remove the safety rack and think, well, if I can't squat the weight, I don't want the safety rack there because what if I break it? And so they'll squat without the safety rack, which is there for a reason. And if it breaks, it breaks. But the job is to protect that person. In the same way, that helmet that protected me during that car accident, that saved me. If it wasn't for that, who knows what would have happened? And so if it wasn't for the safety rack, who knows what would have happened to this lifter? And so to think he has to pay for it, it's absolute ridiculousness. I don't understand how other people would think he has to pay for it. Break it, you bought it. This is not somebody's house. This is not him sneaking in and doing something wrong. This is not him maliciously breaking the rack on purpose by being a ridiculous person. He didn't put on 1,000 pounds, lift it off the rack and throw it on the floor and see if he could break it. He was legitimately trying to get a second rep of which he had a very good chance to do it. Seemed he lost his balance, fell forward, dropped the weight on the rack. The rack should have been able to withstand it. It shouldn't have broken. And so if anything, the gym owners should be calling the rack manufacturers and saying, we had a rack that broke with a kid doing 265 pounds. Perhaps you can get us a replacement. There's something wrong. Was this a lemon? And so what's really shocking is there's so many comments thinking they had to pay. And imagine this analogy. You're going bungee jumping, okay? And so you go and you jump off a bridge and the cord, it breaks on the way down. And you fall in the water and perhaps you survive because it only broke right at the end. It slowed you down a little bit. Are you now going to have to pay $1,000 to replace that cord that broke? It's your fault. You were the one jumping while the cord was stretching. You physically broke it. But is it your responsibility? That cord is your safety line. It's preventing you from an early death. And so to the same extent as the helmet, the safety cord, the bungee cord, this is what these things are designed to do, and we should not be forced to pay for it. Can't believe I have to make videos explaining these things. And so the next time you go to the gym and you break a piece of equipment, understand it's not your fault. The equipment is designed to save you. Use the equipment. Don't think, oh, I can't use this safety rack because what if I end up breaking it? Ending it here. And don't forget, if you're looking for HCLT supplements, including GO2 Max or Ecti Builder, protein powder, creatine, Seco bars, Delta Sleep, G Focus, pre-workouts, both hardcore, regular. We have so many different supplements. Please head over to my website and don't forget to enter code Greg for 10% off. Also, of course, we have the Harder Than Last Time clothing line. We have the tank tops. The quality is superb. You will not believe it. It lasts for so many years. You got to get this. Hoodies, jogging pants, and so on. Also, we have the Circle Diet Book. This is my life's work, how to lose weight, keep it off for the rest of your life. If you couple that with any of my cookbooks, you will see just how easy dieting can be in the real world. Close to 100,000 copies sold. So many lives have been changed. So many people losing weight. And don't forget, code Greg 10% off and click the link in that description. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. And obviously watch one of those two boops. And until next time, I am out.